Welcome to Season 4, Episode 6 of The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. This one is entitled The Buddha Never Sleeps. Previously, after running roughshod over the Buddha's blessing before meals, Sid told the story of how, with a little help from Dai, he made his first $1,000,000. In the years following his lucrative bite of the apple, Sid not only assembled his own portfolio of eclectic businesses, he also became the noisiest silent partner in history in S-corps, LLCs, limited, not-so-limited partnerships, whatever crazy ideas his kids and close friends came up with. Whether it was with a college buddy who thought he could clean up in the imported gift soap business, not realizing that the euro would stay stubbornly high for the next decade, or his then 14-year-old Jake telling him he could build PCs cheaper than Dell if he just had $2,000 to buy the parts. Over the years, Sid had scrutinized every type of half-assed cash flow analysis, half-baked balance sheet, and MBA smoke and mirrors projection out there. He could barely make head nor tails of most of them, but had an idiot savant's ability to spot a totally bogus assumption several columns out and 50 lines down. Still, regardless of how harebrained or hair-raising the scheme seemed, Sid waved away overly optimistic business plans and well-meaning wild-ass guesses. His due diligence consisted of 2 questions. You sure you want to do this? And, are you out of your mind? If the answers to both were yes, he'd give them half of what they thought they needed and tell them to go find the rest. In the rare instances one of these investments paid off, Sid just took back the principal and sent his unwitting devotees off with the profits. Only one person had ever screwed him: his former son-in-law, Abby's ex-husband Richard, known in the family as Richie Rich, or that Dick. About 5 years after marrying Abby, Richie offered to manage a half-dozen independent gas convenience stores that Sid had just bought about 100 miles away. He didn't mind driving, he explained, so he'd go out there a few days a week, spend the night, and save Sid the trouble. In retrospect, it took Sid longer than it should have to realize that Richie was embezzling a significant portion of cash receipts and was playing fast and loose with his marriage to Sid's daughter at the same time. When it finally dawned on him at 5 one morning, he dressed quickly, drove 80 miles per hour to the office that Richie had set up in one of the larger stations, put on some coffee, and started looking at the well-cooked books. By the time Richie got to the office with the proverbial lipstick on his collar, it only took one look from Sid for him to realize he wasn't welcome anymore, in the business or the family. Richie had been caught, and to Sid, being stupid enough to be caught was as criminal as embezzlement and adultery. "Hey," Marcus said quietly. Sid looked at him in a daze, like he didn't know who Marcus was, or he was either. After arriving the night before, just in time for the last piece of pizza, Marcus had spent the night. At 2 a.m., he was on his way to the bathroom when he noticed Sid on the balcony facing southeast over the harbor. He was bundled up in a sleeping bag coat with a seriously retro nightcap, a little hunched over, a glass in his hand, his head nodding as if he had been talking to himself. Marcus tightened his robe, quietly opened the door, and tiptoed out. "How am I doing, Marky?" Sid said without turning around. "Not bad for a guy who's dying, Sid." "I am getting pretty good at that, aren't I?" he said as if it were a pleasant but irrelevant point. "You're getting really good at that," Marcus doubled down, walking up and putting his hand lightly on Sid's shoulder. Not quite a pat, trying to be reassuring. Sid handed over his glass. "You can finish it." Marcus took a sip and felt the burn. "Ah, we do straight vodka in the middle of the night." Sid shrugged and turned back around, leaning on the railing. "You must be running out of those little bottles. You're sure not flying as much as you used to." "True, but Jake now flies first class, where they don't mind him taking a few extra. Quite an enabler, your son. Brought him up right." But I'm doing good, right? The stuff I'm saying?" "You mean the Buddha's saying?" "I guess. My eternal nature occasionally abandons me late at night. Even the Buddha has to sleep, I guess, he said. It's like shedding a skin. Stupid mortal coil. Hey, buddy, Marcus said, you're mixing a few metaphors there, but I can imagine. What can you imagine? Sid thundered in an exaggerated whisper like some sociopathic Zen master. He turned and looked at Marcus ferociously. Marcus didn't know whether to laugh, wake up, die, or call their Zen master Frankisi to show Sid some spiritual tough love. But the storm blew over as quickly as it had come. Hey, did I tell you that Junior asked me for $1,000 for a table saw, planer, and branding iron so he could make custom coup sets? What the hell is a coup set? Marcus asked. Sounds like some kind of Buddhist pool game. Never heard of it, the Buddha thought, but I'd rather swim in a river myself. You need grandchildren, Marcus. I'll call Samantha and tell her to stop screwing around. Or let that one go, Sid. You're talking about my daughter. Marcus made light of it. And Sid had already moved on. It's a big investment being the Buddha, he said. No, Marcus said, I can't help you there. Everybody, Sid trailed off. Everybody what? Invests in being themselves. That sounds like a pearl of Buddhist wisdom, Marcus said. Yeah, it was a team effort, the Buddha admitted. My other visitors have been more short-term investments, Sid considered, more talking to himself than Marcus. I was a silent partner. The Buddha's different. He's not just passing through. He expects me to be all in. Well, now the Buddha was curious where Sid was going, or how far he'd get. Sid pushed back from the railing and turned to face Marcus. I can't tell whether I'm investing in the Buddha or he's investing in me. It's like having two mice running around in a cage in my mind. Progress, the Buddha thought. Well, there's still time to figure it out, Marcus said, putting his hand back on Sid's shoulder and looking into the vastness of his eyes. I mean, you're not dead yet. Minor detail, the Buddha thought. Marcus gently took his hand off Sid's shoulder before turning around to go back to bed. Maybe time to go back to sleep, buddy. We never sleep, the Buddha thought. Thanks as always for listening to The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. Paid subscribers get free paperback copies of the first 3 seasons. I just got the 3rd season in, and we'll be sending it out soon. By the way, technically what they call coup is called cub, but my grandchildren called it coup, pronounced Q. It's a Swedish game with allegedly Viking origins that I guess is taking the country by storm, or undoubtedly a blizzard. Like Marcus, I'd never heard of it till recently. Seeing as how the equipment is basically a set of wooden blocks and dowels for knocking them down, I think that with Sid's backing, Junior could easily corner the market on custom sets.